Welcome, friends. It is 12:12 Awareness Moments with Kyra on Tuesday, June, let's see, what day is this? 9th, 2020. And it is an important time for us to acknowledge the things that are going on and how do we respond. I want to invite us, first of all, to acknowledge that I will be coming on sometimes at 12:12. Sometimes I'm going to be coming on at a different time, and you can watch it whenever it works for you. Tomorrow I've got a mayor's meeting with clergy, so I won't be on at 12:12, but I'll put something on another time. So anyway, I want you to know whenever it is and whenever you see it, it's the right and perfect time. And welcome to Jackie Lawson and Reverend Mary Ann and Sandra. Welcome to each and every one of you that come on at some later time and watch us as well. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. And I want to talk about the opportunity that is in front of us right now and what it means to come to a place where we're seeing, we're coming today as a big day in our Houston area and surrounding area because this is the memorial, the final funeral service for George Floyd. And this may look like a completion, but what I want you to know is it's a beginning. This is a completion maybe of his life in this moment, but it's just the beginning of the activity and the movement forward in transforming the world. But I also want us to look at this from a spiritual perspective of what happens to us individually in the process of awakening and expanding our spiritual consciousness. Welcome, Cynthia. Welcome, Julie. Welcome to, that's it, Julie. And what I want you to know in this moment that this is the time to double down. So spiritually, my experience is that one of the things that happens to many of us is we begin to open to a new consciousness. We begin to live from something that says we no longer want separation consciousness on our planet. We no longer want the kind of separation that we've seen in the world. We want to live from a higher truth, a knowing of the truth of who each and everyone is as a divine being, as a light, as a presence. And we begin to live from that, and we begin to open to that possibility, and we begin to dream that into existence, and we begin to feel it in ourselves, and we begin to heal those places of separation within ourselves. Well, then the world is going to show up and have to reflect back to us where there is still healing possibility. Because we have work to do. So spiritually, what happens, we do this spiritually on our part. We have this great breakthrough moment. This happens with all kinds of different spiritual teachings and ahas, and whether it's meditation and you finally have that amazing experience that you've longed to have in your own inner being, and you feel it. Excuse me. Welcome, Olga. Glad you're here. And in that moment of that aha, and the breakthrough and the realization and the victory that happens in our internal being, oh my gosh, this is what I knew was possible. This new world, this new experience, this expansion of consciousness is what I've known was possible. And oh my gosh, I had it. That's the time to double down. That's the time you say, okay, now is when I don't sit back on my laurels and say, oh, I've accomplished something I really wanted. Yes, I may acknowledge, oh, this feels so good. This is what I was seeking. This feels like a moment of time that we've longed for a different response to the deaths of those that have been brutalized, and to the systems and structures that need to be rebuilt and sustainable in a more loving way. And so same thing happens within our own internal process, right? We are opening to that divine spirit, to the truth of the divine that was within us, and brutalizing ourselves through it is not the way. It is a time for us to actually let me have some compassion for myself. Let me have some compassion for my inner experience. Let me have some compassion for the world and what it's going through right now. What has happened in this time of the COVID experience is we actually have opened up to more compassion for ourselves and for one another, of recognizing that the world is, there's so much unknown. There's so much that's happened. So now, all of a sudden, when we've opened to new compassion, then the possibility is for imagining and creating and having a new possibility for the world to live with a different kind of compassion. Well, for that to happen, there's breakdowns in the old systems. There's dissolving of old systems. There's ways that we get jolted to begin to open to that. So as we're experiencing no more of this experience of the way the world's operated, that no more actually came out of the shifting of compassion within ourselves. For this time that we've kind of stepped back and had to be gentle with ourselves in this journey, and then with one another. And now all of a sudden we're seeing that as what's breaking down old systems in the world. And we have the opportunity to now double down, now to say, wow, we have that one experience. Jen, I'm talking about the George Floyd experience. And that now what it's breaking down is the way that we've perpetuated old energies that have kept us in separation. So now what's happening is we are opening up to a new possibility. But we can't just say, okay, we had this experience that things have gotten started to shift. There's been a change that's begun. And now is when we get more intensified. When you have that breakthrough in your meditation, you don't say, okay, that was good, I'm done now. Instead, now, oh my gosh, I know what's possible. I'm hearing so many people have hope in their hearts right now, have the possibility that something new can happen, that something can be transformed in the midst of this breaking down of the old ways of being. And there's so many examples of it where already we're beginning that process, but we're just at the beginning. Now that's the outpicturing out here in the world, and it's a part of ours to take action and speak up and do the things that would do that, but it represents what happened inside of us. And that's the place where we first double down, and then we start taking action out into the world. Welcome, Regina and Kimberly and Mike. Glad to have you all here. And Minnie Sanders, great to have you here. So when we are in this place of realizing there is change, it's different than what it's been. The change that's happening in the world, there really is some shifting of ways that people are showing up with one another. How beautiful is that? But I want to invite you to realize it began with the way you showed up with yourself and your own self-compassion, your own acceptance of yourself and the parts of ourselves or the places we felt separate from one another. See, we broke down barriers through this COVID experience where it crossed all boundaries there were no, country borders. We all experienced this. We all experienced this changing of our world at this time. And whether it angered us or frustrated us, or we just accepted and kind of went into new creation process, there are many ways we've responded to it. But every single person on this planet has experienced the effects of what's occurred that has equalized the playing field. As we had that experience at an inner level, this is a spiritual opening for us. Then we had to choose, how do I respond? Do I respond with compassion for those that are hungry? Do I respond with compassion for those that are struggling in this time? Do I continue to let anger fuel me and separate me? So then on top of it, as this experience happened with George Floyd, what's occurring is we're seeing it having deeper effects, because we already claimed a new kind of self-compassion and no longer a separation, that this affects you and not me. Every one of us is affected in these times and are opening to this new level. So what if in this moment of hope, in this moment of potentiality, we go even deeper into our experience of oneness with one another, into our self-compassion for each other, into the potential for a new creation. I heard somewhere, I don't know whether it was yesterday or this morning, that in Minneapolis that they dissolved the actual police force as it's been because they recognized they could not make minor changes and have the whole system be affected. See that now what they're saying, let's dissolve that, start fresh, because it's based upon a false premise. How many places in us have we perpetuated separation, where we have perpetuated something less than compassion, love, oneness, embracing and honoring all, that is now calling us to say, everything we've thought was so, let's break down those systems and now we recreate. So if you're breaking through in that level, let's say in meditation or something else, in that spiritual awareness within yourself, this is the time you don't say, oh, okay, we had a good experience with this with George Floyd. No. Or have more of us that, I know there's a lot of divisiveness out there. I'm not denying that. But there are a lot that are experiencing, let's come together, that they're out picturing that kind of compassion and that oneness that we experienced with everyone in this world having the same response or having the same kind of situation happen with the COVID. Well, now we can apply that in all different kinds of ways. We are breaking down the barriers of separation and the duality. And so as a result, we go deeper into this recreation mode. This is an important and powerful time for you to go deeper into your own spiritual connection. Are you feeling your oneness with yourself and the divine? Are you feeling the compassion for all of creation out here, for the ways that we are transforming and changing so quickly? And it has us all a little shaken up. And yet that's the place where we are able to start to recognize that the places that we have, the foundations that we've built our world upon, the foundations of injustice, the foundations of inequality or superiority or inferiority, all the ways we've created duality, are not the place we choose to create the new world. And it begins with my finding that oneness within myself, doubling down, as I'm saying, is going deeper into my awareness of how much there is an integrated whole within me that wants to be celebrated and to create from a different place, not of fear, but of love, a place of compassion, a place of appreciation and gratitude. Let's create our new world from that. Let's create from the inside out. How well do you love and have compassion and understanding for yourself? Do you listen to your own needs and respond to those? Do you see the potential of a world at one with one another? Are you willing to create from that love and no longer let the fear run the ways that you perceive or receive or give in any of the ways that you experience and express within the world? As we open to this within ourselves and we come to this potent moment, we may bury George Floyd, but we are only at the beginning of the transformation of our world. And it has begun because we did the inner work first. Even those that may not be conscious of it are part of this transformation of our world. When we know that, we begin to realize, oh my gosh, yes, this has touched every life. It's touched everyone on this planet, this COVID situation, and now the unrest here in our country. And yet what it's doing, it's inviting us to let go of everything we've known, to start fresh and beginning to say, how do I want it to be? Where is that feeling inside of me that I want to create and share with the world? It is my hope that you'll look to that place in you that's calling you to double down on your spiritual work, to know a greater truth, and begin whatever way is yours to go even further in your willingness to take on this transformation in consciousness first and then in the world, or hand in hand, those two work. And I am really honored and grateful to be with those that I know you're here making a difference. You're here in this conversation because you do know something significant is happening now. And when we start to understand our part in it, that we already were in the process of this. And now we get to see more and more and more places where we let go of that separation, where we dissolve the old systems to create something made of love, made of unified field of oneness, made of compassion for all the parts, and that to recognize that together we are so much better. I love you all, and I wish you a powerful, wonderful day. Tomorrow I'll be on at some time. I don't know when, but it'll not be at 12:12. It'll probably be in the morning before that. I love you all, and we'll see you in awareness moments, whatever time I do them daily, but they will be up on my Facebook page and my personal YouTube page, which is Reverend Kyra Bear. I love you. Have a fabulous day. Thank you. Thank yourself for what you've created through the consciousness of compassion and love. God bless you, friends.